GameSHOUT Radio is property of GameSHOUT, a company of Red Planet LLC. All rights reserved. Executive producer, Andy Hodges. For live broadcast booking information, syndication, or advertising, email info@GameSHOUT.com. All comments expressed on the show are not necessarily those of GameSHOUT, Red Planet LLC, its advertisers, guests, or syndication affiliates. All music is licensed by ASCAP and BMI. Recordings of this broadcast prohibited without prior written consent.
Welcome back to GameSHOUT Radio. This is Online with GameSHOUT. We're your hosts, Captain Maverick and Josh Britt. Josh.
Hey, Mav, how you doing?
Oh, man, I'm doing awesome, having a terrific day. I couldn't be doing better. As a matter of fact, I'm as giddy as a schoolgirl right now.
You're usually as giddy as a schoolgirl.
Well, that's beside the point. I'm not wearing a dress today, too. Look, what was your very favorite games at E3?
I got to say that one of my most anticipated games that I saw at E3, and it goes back through childhood and everything, would have to be Star Trek Legacy. Growing up on the Star Trek franchise, and just seeing that, I am so excited. You know, 21 years old, and I'm a huge Trek fan. I want this game to come out.
Well, now, okay, let's back up the truck a bit. You know me, I'm just a little bit older. And I watched the first run series of Star Trek with the original Captain Kirk, William Shatner. And guess what, Josh? I have a surprise for you. That's right. On the phone with us today is Mr. William Shatner, formerly Captain Kirk of Star Trek Enterprise. Bill, glad to have you with us on GameSHOUT Radio.
Well, thank you. A pleasure to be with you. You notice the way Josh takes an extra beat every time he answers? Is it he's clicking or thinking?
A little bit of both.
so
I'm a very thoughtful person.
Light goes on, and then the green light opens the mouth. Is that it? That takes that lag time?
That's exactly right.
Wow.
It's that one split second. You know, if he hits the right handle, he gets a prize, a treat. Food there.
A chocolate square falls out.
Yeah, that's exactly right. It's great.
I've been amassing them.
He's hoarding them right now.
So listen, what is E3? That's a term I haven't heard before.
Well, E3 is the Electronic Entertainment Exposition, and it's the largest gaming show, or used to be the largest gaming show in America. And unfortunately, it's going by the wayside to
what?
They're going to be scaling down E3 and building up the Game Developers Conference instead in San Francisco. So looks like we're going to be out in California anyway in early next year for one of the.
Is that the place where all the games come together and all the people and everything?
Yep.
Is that the marketplace?
Yep, that's the one. That's exactly the one.
So Legacy is aimed at that, really.
Legacy was aimed at that. Yep. In fact, we got a chance to see a very special behind-the-scenes first look at Legacy at E3 this last May in Los Angeles.
In its unfinished form.
In its completely unfinished form. There were no voices.
And even then, I hesitate in movies. I hesitate to show anybody something that isn't my best foot forward. How did you take that? Getting a rough view of the game.
Well, what we got was actually just a view of the game with very little in the way of course, no voice work. But it was a good view. I thought what we saw was actually quite well done. But it was a rendering just to give us a chance to check it out. But what I really want to know is how everything went for you in hosting the Canadian.
For me, everything was grand. It was it was really sensational. There is a point of confusion for the guy doing the voices, and in this case me, when you do all the branching. So in a script, if it were being made into a film, and you're asked, should I fire on the enemy, you either say yes or no. But here you say yes and no.
Yes and no.
Right, and it's confusing for the actors. So this branching, which is a huge part of the game, is all in the mind of the programmers, and the actor, the voices, just go by what they're told to do because the concept is not in front of you.
Well, now my question is, did you get a chance to work closely with the other captains for the other Star Treks?
No, as in every voiceover, I just did two major animated films this year.
Okay.
The Wild and Over the Hedge. And in every case, the actor is taken into a booth by himself, and then the directors and the producers and the writers are all in a soundproof booth next to him, and you do the lines every which way. So as they animate it, they have it every way they think they may need it. Well, and the same applies to a game.
Yeah, for each direction that you may choose.
To make sure that the level of vocalization is up with everybody else's, you do it several times in several different ways.
Yep, and see, that way, whichever direction the player choose, they can go, and your voice is already there ahead of them.
Right, but not only that, not only is it in anticipation of what the gamer is going to choose, the game, as you know, as games are made, they begin to change shape as you play them, and as they're being programmed. So the game begins to assume a life well after you've recorded your voice, and they need the voice in various forms, in bravery and in fear.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Well, what were some of the lines that you ended up doing for Legacy?
Well, I don't. I really can't remember. But think of any three words in combination, and I said them. No, I don't want to. Yes, I do want to.
Well, see, now I can understand that, but the problem is that do you get a chance to see it as you're voicing it?
Very little of it.
Very little. Okay.
Because it's in the making. They're forming it. It's like red hot ingots of the steel that are being hammered out. But the game is sensational. The game is participation. You're into the 5 captains, and you're playing a captain. And if you have any knowledge of Star Trek, this is the game that you want to get. And if you don't have any knowledge of Star Trek, this is the game you want to get.
Yes,
it's an exciting game on its own.
It is. It's amazing. I'm going to let Josh ask a quick question here. He's got a couple things he wants to ask as well.
Actually, I was kind of curious. How did it feel to reprise the role of Captain Kirk after so many years?
Well, it's Captain Kirk and it's not Captain Kirk. It's I'm not. There's nobody beside me. I'm not interacting. I'm just doing a straight vocalization, and yet I strived to do what it was I had been doing all those years, and to be as earnest and as honest about it as I would have been if there had been a camera, and aware that there was going to be a large audience viewing what I was doing at some point or other. And even though it was just my voice, I was very much aware that it was a performance that I needed to make as good as I possibly could. And I know everybody else felt the same way.
Well, you've always been that kind of performer.
Well, thank you. That's true. I've tried to do my best at every point, whether it was comedic, whether it was a put-on, or whether it was honest. Those differences being infinitesimal, more attitude than anything else.
Agreed.
Now, do you find yourself treating the character or acting in general differently when doing voice acting versus on-camera acting? Yes.
Josh. Was that you, Josh?
Yes, it was.
Yeah. Did something fall out of your mouth when you took a breath?
It did.
Was it bubble gum?
It's his necklace.
I apologize.
Around his neck.
Okay. That's the next question. I thought that was very funny, but obviously it wasn't. What was your question?
Nervous eating. I said. I actually said. Did you find yourself treating the character or acting any different when doing, the voice acting versus on-camera acting?
No, that's exactly my point. I was trying not to do anything differently. By the way, we all have to recognize that an adverb has a Y at the end of it, so that you can be doing something violently or doing something happily. It's proper English. We've got to recognize that. That's, again, supposed to be amusing, but...
Well,
behind the
Bill, you
That's
have
cool.
to forgive him. Josh didn't go to McGill.
Oh, well. Where did you go, Josh?
I went to Penn State
You
Barron.
see that? What?
Penn State.
Josh, what school did you go to?
I went to Penn State Barron.
Penn State?
Yep. Penn State Barron.
The last part I'm not sure of. Penn State, I know.
It's a subsidiary of the Penn State College. There's several Penn State colleges throughout Pennsylvania. I went to one of the smaller ones.
And of
I
course,
see.
some
What
people
did
do
you study?
some people do pronounce that subsidiary, but that's okay.
What did you study, Josh?
I studied film and video, actually.
Really?
Yes.
And what are you doing now?
Currently interviewing you, so I'm pretty much doing radio.
Are you doing a radio show now? Is that the idea?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I took one course and ended in another one.
It sounds good. The reason I'm asking is the adverb.
You wanted to see if you majored in English.
Yes, exactly. Whether you had
Understood.
whether anybody recognizes the form anymore. Adverb conditioning a verb.
Soulrift does. I do. I'm old enough.
In any case, treating it differently. No, I didn't.
No, so you treated it the same.
I tried to make the game as real, as close to what an actual show would have been had it been filmed.
Perfect. And that's exactly what we were looking for. I mean, as a Star Trek fan, I'm looking to see Captain Kirk come alive again in Star Trek Legacy.
Well, hopefully you will, on my part, as well as the other four captains.
Well, that sounds great. Now, let me go ahead and take a little sidestep here. I want to find out how things went for you at the Canadian Awards for the Electronic and Animated Arts. You had an opportunity to host that.
I think they went very well. Why do you ask?
Well, because that's one of the reasons why we're asking you to be here, is to tell us all about the show and your part in it.
Okay, good. Curiosity as against something some specific piece of information that you needed. It went very well. Canada has a huge animation industry going on. There are more than a couple of colleges that are turning out animators. The one I really know about is the one in Toronto, the university. I don't know. It's not a university. I guess it's a college. Anyway, it's a school that is devoted to animation.
Okay.
And it's out of Toronto, and it turns out wonderful animators who are employed a great deal all over the world, but a lot of them find work in their native country of Canada. And there is a company called Core, of which I'm a participant, in that I helped form it with four other Canadians who are animators. And I was sort of the public head thereof, but the guys that were the animators were brilliant and formed the basis of the company. And we hire a lot of Sheridan graduates, and the state of animation in Canada is really very high. And these awards were the first of its kind to be, and the show was about awarding prizes to the best animation in a large number of categories made in Canada. Although Canada made a great many American films, both animated films and games and commercials and all that kind of thing. Anything that needed animation, even with CGI effects, a lot of requests were sent to Canada to fulfill in American movies. So this was an award ceremony honoring those people who the committees thought did the best. And so it was great fun for me to award fellow Canadians and animators and people involved in animation, games and CGI effects and movies and all that kind of thing. So there were a lot of people I didn't know who got awards, and it was a pleasure to give it to them.
Well, and I understand that you're not a gamer, but being involved in animated arts, that makes a big difference and made it easier.
Right.
for
I'm
you.
involved in the making, both as a voice, in this case, legacy, and in a peripheral way as a partner in an animated company. And I'm not a gamer, and I must tell you, the reason I'm not a gamer is I don't have the time to play the game. It's exciting. Now, I have grandkids who, at the age of 3, could beat me. Mm-hmm. And they'd want to sit down, and it was, I could wrestle them to the ground. At 3, I could almost beat them wrestling.
Okay.
but at gaming, they could beat me. And that gave them their power.
Yep.
And they've continued to use that power over the years. They beat Grandpa all the time.
How about the Shat Pack? I understand that was a real successful auction.
I haven't heard about its success. I know, obviously, it went on. You heard it was successful.
I heard it was successful. That we raised $10,000 for.
Oh, that.
Yes.
That.
The Shat
Absolutely,
Pack.
$10,000 for Writing Therapeutic program.
Writing Therapeutic, right?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. That was great.
I thought
there was an auction recently,
Yeah,
Star Trek auction. I thought you were referring.
Okay. No, I hadn't. But I thought that was I thought that was a great idea to give somebody an opportunity to spend the evening with you and walk up the red carpet.
Right.
But that was a lot of fun.
And donate $10,000 to the Writing Therapeutic program. Exactly. It was great. I run a charity here in Los Angeles called the Hollywood Charity Horse Show, in which we benefit more than a couple of children's charities, children in need charities, one of them being a therapeutic writing program. I've also come up with a thought of doing that in Israel, and since there are many writing therapeutic programs in Israel, we would give money to, as an umbrella organization, give money to a variety of writing therapeutic programs in Israel, with the codicil that they would also include, among the children being helped, all the nations in the area: Palestinian, Jordanian, Lebanese kids, Bedouin, Druze children, all of it. And so not only would it help kids, this charity, but it would be a tentative step towards peace.
That's excellent. And the Writing Therapeutic program, I think, is an exceptional program. It helps a lot of kids.
It really does. So, apropos of that, if anybody wants any more information on that, my website is WilliamShatner.com.
WilliamShatner.com. That sounds great. Well, Andy, my producer, has a question. I'm going to go ahead and let him take it so he doesn't kick me off the team.
We don't want you off.
Well, I just had a question. There's been a lot of rumors out about a new Star Trek movie, and I just wanted to ask you, is that true?
Yeah, it's true that a new Star Trek movie will be out in a couple of years. The J.J. Abrams, who was responsible for, let's see, Alias. I'm not sure of his resume, but Mission Impossible 3, Alias, and then there's another large television show.
Lost.
But he's highly qualified entertainer. A creative force in entertainment, and loves Star Trek. And I had a meeting with him apropos of what the stories he wants to tell, and his team, and it's very promising. And I'm excited by what they will bring to the screen apropos of Star Trek. And that would come out in a couple of years and blend with the release of Legacy, of course.
Wonderful. That would be awesome.
Are you gonna appear in the new Star Trek?
I don't know. Maybe. It's premature to speculate at this point, but it could be.
Very good. Soulrift, do you have a question for Bill?
Yeah, I was sitting up at the Shatner building between classes today and looking at my Tech War books, and I remembered back in 1995 there was a Tech War PC game. It wasn't that great, but I love the rest. I love the books, the TV, the movies. I want to know if you're going to come out with a new Tech War PC game.
Well, if I had a demand for it, Tech War was really an interesting premise, and it's a good show, and was ordered by the USA Network, and they were disorganized in giving us the order for Tech War, for 22 Tech Wars. By the time they ordered it, and it was so late, and we had a rush, and we never got ahead of the curve because it takes about 8 days to make a television show, and 7 days, every 7 days you lose one. So after a period of time, as the season goes on, you get closer and closer to not having any shows to deliver to the network. And if you don't deliver the show on time, you don't get paid. You don't get the negative cost. So you could be out $1 million, which would make a company very nervous about continuing to do a show. So then you go into repeats, and if you start repeating too early, people turn you off, and publicity, and it was just a mess. So we did 1 year of Tech War, and it was coming to be a big show, a good show. And again, you have to learn in that first year. You have to learn what's working, what's not working. In a game, for example, this game of Legacy, they go out and play it, and you guys were presented it early on to see what you thought, and they start trying it out really early, and then when it's ready to be played, people play it, and they see what's working, what's not working, and they correct it. In a Broadway show, you play it in front of an audience before you open it, and you find out where people are bored, and where they're laughing, where they're interested, and you edit those, or you rewrite those places where they're not interested. But in a television show, you don't have that luxury. You go on the air, and you don't know what's working, who's appealing to the audience, who's not appealing to the audience, and you need 10, 12 shows to find out from an audience reaction what's working. And by the time those 10, 12 shows are played, you've made your whole season, or theoretically. So you need a whole year to really get your show refined. And we never got that chance in Tech War. So Tech War became 12 books and 4 movies and 22 hours of television. The television aspect of it wasn't as successful as I hoped it would be. So whether they would want a game of it or not is an open question. I don't know about that.
That would be it would be interesting. It'd be interesting to see it come out again. One of the girls had an interesting question for you. Remember the episode Trouble with Tribbles?
Sure.
It was one of my favorites. She wanted to know if you got a chance to, keep one of the tribbles.
I keep it in the... no, I don't. I was going to try and be funny, but then I don't know you guys.
Go ahead. We're all gamers. We're funny.
Be funny. I keep it in a warm place. The tribble thing... Oh, God. They apparently auctioned some off in this recent auction. No, I've never kept any of that stuff to any great degree. So I have very little paraphernalia.
Well, I used to watch I was born in 1960, so needless to say, I watched some of the first-run episodes. And in fact, I watched all of the first-run episodes. It was my mom's favorite, so needless to say, I got a chance to see them all. And there was one episode that I really thought, it kind of scared me in a way, because I saw an evil Captain Kirk. There was a bad guy and a good guy, Captain Kirk.
Yeah.
You remember that one? Which episode was that?
Which one?
Which episode was that? I mean,
I don't remember the name.
But
there were several, actually. There was a Nazi Captain Kirk.
Yeah.
Evil guy.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm looking out a window, and I've got a meeting, and 7 people just came past me.
And we are about to... We're going to close this up. I want to take a moment here to thank you, Bill Shatner, for joining us on GameSHOUT Radio. It's been an honor having you on with us.
Well, thank you. It's really a pleasure. And the radio show aims directly at the people that I want to reach, to tell them that Legacy is really a good game. You're going to have wonderful time playing it, and it'll be on the market in the next short while.
And we are definitely going to keep on top of that right here on GameSHOUT. That's definitely that's our venue.
Perfect. I'll look forward to hearing about it from you and talking to you again.
And maybe we can talk again. I would like that a lot.
I would like.
Ladies and gentlemen, William Shatner.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
This is GameSHOUT Radio, the #1 talk game station in the world. Visit GameSHOUT.com for more info. GameSHOUT. GameSHOUT.